What does one say to an ancient Nephilim ghost?
I suppose you start with...
I can tell you I don't have money, but what I do have are a very particular set of skills.
Hello, my friend. Stay a while and listen.
What's going on YouTube? It's Filthy and we're back with another Diablo 3 Season 32 video. Today we're going to go over the starting sets. I'm going to talk some advantages, disadvantages. Spoiler, don't really like particularly any of them, but we're going to go through all of them. I'm going to talk about which ones I really dislike and which ones I think are probably okay, and talk about maybe what I'm going to do myself on launch night. As always guys, thumbs up brightens my day. Quick reminder, don't do your challenge rift until after the season has started. Right, now let's start with one that I really don't like, which is the wizard. So Vyrs is technically, I think, a viable-ish kind of speed farm for like low GR and for Torment 16 keys. Nobody plays it really because it is kind of crap and it's a bad start. Why is it a bad start? Well, the 2-piece Archon gets every rune. It's not really very useful to us. The 4-piece Archon gives us attack speed, armor and resistances. It's also not really very useful to us because when you get the pieces, you're not going to have cooldown. You're going to have to roll cooldown on your gloves, your shoulder, your weapon, your offhand. It's a pain in the butt. It costs Death's Breath. It's annoying. And even with that, you're not going to be able to keep permanent Archon up. And obviously the whole set revolves around, you get this big Archon boost. So you do a lot of damage when you're an Archon. You can do reverse Archon, but again, you're not going to have anything set up. Now, it's a bit of a miserable start this season because obviously we've got the Ethereals, and the correct way to play, I think this will be with the Chantodo's Will and also the offhand, because this gives you this wave of destruction that comes out and flies out of your character, 4000% weapon damage. And that's what I mean by like a kind of viable-ish build. You know, you're looking for a Zodiac ring to try and reset cooldown. You may be looking for an Ingeome, which will help you reset your skill cooldowns, or a Messerschmitt's Reaver Axe in here, and you would just have to roll cooldown over. But I don't like it because, one, you're not going to want to play this for keys or for anything long term, because what you want to use the Ethereals, of course, for the season. You want to be playing probably Arachyr, probably Hydra. One of those two sets for wizard would be much better than this. Again, you also need a Zulus, you need a Swami, I think. So there's lots of bits and bobs here, because without this your Archon stuff doesn't last outside Archon, I don't think, which is annoying. And yeah, it's just going to be a bad time basically playing this. You're going to have to get a cooldown in your helm immediately, roll cooldown on everything immediately, and when you're not in Archon form, you're going to do no damage at all. When you're out of Archon, you're not going to do damage at all, and you really need this wand, and there's like 13 wands or something stupid in the loot pool, so it's really hard, and you can't use an Ethereal. So ultimately, I think the Wizard's got a bit of a bad starting set. I personally would just not even collect this on the Wizard. I think it's far more fun to build a Legacy of Dreams Wizard and then try and get 6 pieces of something else. I know a lot of people disagree with that, and they think it's just better to just get the set. I just don't find this fun at all. Of course, you could get lucky, you could get your Chantodos early, all your pieces could drop with cooldown, you could find an Ingeome immediately, a Swami and a Fazulus, but I think you're going to be having a bit of a bad time until you do get that. So Legacy of Dreams, I think, would be the way I would go personally on Wizard, which is disappointing because it's one of the classes I'm really interested in playing, because I think the Man Song's Ethereal is going to be very strong. Necromancer is probably one of the best suits on offer that we've got. So on the 2-piece, this is the blood set. We get Blood Rush and Siphon Blood gain every rune, which is great. Life spending abilities no longer cost essence. That's okay. It's fine. It's okay. 4-piece is basically the buffing up of defense, so we get the extra maximum life. Doesn't really do much. And then we get this 6,250 flat damage on anything that spends life. And we get 100% increase healing from skills. So this is great because every Necro ability has got a way of spending life, so you can pair it with Corpse Explosion. So the Corpse Explosion gloves are in the pool, which are the Grasp of Essence. So you can get these really easy, just roll shards and level 1 character. It's another modifier on top of your 6,250, which is great. Really easy to get like Rylena's Shadow Hook. Can we spell? Yeah, something like that. You can get a Tragul's Corroded Fang. These are all very easy upgrades to get. You can get yourself an Iron Rose. And then you can swap over onto, I don't know, Scythe of the Cycle. And you probably want to be doing a Blood-Tied Blade. I think is, realistically, Nova's going to be the easiest and most powerful thing. So something like you can take the Corpse Explosion gloves off. You just need to make sure you've got a blood spending ability. You, of course, can also use Funerary Pick, which is really nice. Because, of course, this season we got to use all of them, which was lovely. But you're going to have to pick, probably Funerary Pick, Blood-Tied Blade, and then that will be your kind of starting-ish build, gold wrap and stuff like that. It's really easy, I think, and quite cheap to set up because, as we've just demonstrated, there's like 3 usable scythes for you. So as soon as you do upgrades, you're probably getting power. There's at least 2 of the 2-handed scythes are useful. So again, you have 50-50 chance of getting power. So ultimately, I think Necro is probably a good kind of gateway into like any of the classes. So you could play this for a little bit and then swap over when you've got some more materials. Now you do need a Haunted Visions ideally for a Nova Necro. That's a pain in the arse to get. It is just a little bit rare. You need your Crispins. That is also quite rare, but you'll be able to make it function at a certain level, like whether it's Torment 10, 12, 14, whatever, with your modifiers that you've got. Convention of Elements could be handy, and you're just going to build it like that. This is the. I mean, Necro is my favourite class, and I'm most comfortable with it anyway. I know the most about this class, so I personally would say that it's looking like a bit of a standout character to me. Doesn't get much. I'm not sure how much use out the season theme. I mean, I guess any Ethereal would obviously be useful, but you're going to want one of these powers that you can link with your Tragul set. Will Traguls be the best Necro build? Don't really know. We'll kind of have to see. I've played a lot of Necro this last season with the Open Cube, so I'm not tapped out on Necro, but I could certainly be talked into giving it a swerve if some of the other sets were better. Moving along to the Barbarian, which gets the Immortal King set. This actually I think is probably okay. So the 2-piece Call of Ancients last until they die. That's kind of handy because it works into part of the damage mechanics of the set, but as a 2-piece not very useful. The 4-piece, reduce the Wrath of the Berserker and Call the Ancients cooldown by 3 seconds for every 10 Fury you spend. You're going to really struggle, I think, a little bit early on with like kind of Fury generation, Fury spending, generate, spend to try and reset these cooldowns, because the 6-piece gives you this 4,000 flat damage, but you got to have Wrath of the Berserker and Call the Ancients up. So Call the Ancients not too bad. Wrath of the Berserker you need to reset by spending Fury. But because it's a flat modifier, you can run this with Whirlwind, you can run it with Seismic Slam, you can run it with pretty much anything you want. Ideally, you want to pick up a Gavel of Judgment, because this is a 2-handed mighty weapon and it basically generates Fury for you if you hit through a few enemies. That will keep your Fury always high. It still counts as spending when you attack with the Hammer of the Ancients then. Let's put on Smash. So we'd be bashing away with the Hammer of the Ancients, it would reset our cooldowns, and then we'd be getting that 4,000% damage the whole way. You can get the braces that go with this. Braces the First Men, down in the loot pool at level 1. You've got yourself a Band of Might in the loot pool at level 1 to Barb. I think is actually quite a good candidate, again, for like just a kind of general decent-ish set to get you going. Not the most powerful thing in the world, not the fastest. You probably want to move on to Whirlwind. You probably want to move on to maybe Frenzy Barb. Leapquake I always enjoy, but perhaps not so useful for keys and stuff like that. But Barb, because it's a flat modifier, can kind of go with anything to get you started. So I think it's okay. It's, I would rather have Whirlwind, I think, to start off with, probably than this. Maybe I'd rather have the Might of the Earth set because I just really like that set, but overall it's a fairly solid option. You can't go too wrong, and again you can build up some power, build up some resources on your Barbarian, and then swap off. Barb's going to be good, I think, with the Grandfather Ethereal, so again any Ethereal you find you can start using with IK immediately, which is nice. So whereas the Wizard, you probably can't even use your Ethereal with your starting Vyrs set. Necro you can probably, and then Barb, you can literally IK's got 7 pieces, which is nice, so you can just get rid of the weapon and use your Ethereal immediately. So Barb, I think, is okay. I would happily start Barb, but again, you're looking to move off it, really. Arachyr is another one that I think is actually quite good. You've got this like massive 2-piece, which basically just says you get like a Spider Queen, pretty much. Infested enemies, inflicted the damage to all the infested enemies, whatever, it's okay. The 4-piece, you get this web with damage reduction, again not really massively interesting, and you get this like 11,500 on all of your creature skills. So that's nice because it's just a pretty, as long as you got one of these creature skills on your bar, you are getting some damage. So I think it's actually an okay. Again, this is technically a viable build. You don't need much. You need the carving knife and the chicken. Is it called a chicken? I can't remember what it's called. It's Manjumas again, isn't it? Yeah, Gory Fetch. So the chicken, and you play the chicken build. Unfortunately, you won't be able to use the Ethereal with this because you need this kind of set item. The chicken hex is a creature skill, so it goes with the Arachyr. So again, this is something that you could use to build up some damage. I think you probably want to get yourself a Ring of Emptiness. And you just need to make sure that you're getting like Haunt or Locust Swarm off. But ultimately, there's a few carving knives, sacred knives in the ceremonial knives in the pool, so it is a bit annoying, but you can roll the Manjumas offhand with shards. Again, there's quite a few mojos, but you will hit it eventually. It's not as tight a loot pool as Necro, but it's probably quite solid to start off with because, like, theoretically this is like a viable T16 low GR build anyway. Obviously I think it can go not too bad into the GRs. But the reason I don't like it is because as soon as I find an Ethereal, I want to use it because that's the season theme, and you could use an Ethereal and just run it through the 11,500 creature skills, but ultimately, you know, it's going to be probably too tempting to not do the chicken with the 2,000% angry chicken explosion damage. So yeah, I probably would end up playing this, and then maybe moving into Spirit Barrage, because I think that would be quite nice with the Ariox Needle. But again, you know, a pretty good set. I know most people don't like Witch Doctor. It's very fast class to 70 as well, so something to be said for that. So again, I don't mind that, but it's not like amazing. Moving over to another one that I really dislike, which is the Hammers build. So this is the Crusader Blessed Hammer build. The 2-piece Blessed Hammer basically reduces Falling Sword and Provoke cooldown. I guess that's okay. Falling Sword will do a bit of damage when you've got nothing else but a 2-piece. You get 50% damage reduction after doing the Falling Sword, so that's kind of how that mechanic works. You need to reset the Falling Sword to get your damage reduction. It's a bit crap, but whatever. And then we get 15,000 on the Blessed Hammer. So obviously you're just using hammers. It's not too bad. It's a little bit clunky. You can get a lot of things for this, like pretty much for free. So the Guard of Johanna is in the loot pool at level 1. So you, of course, would only have a level 16 one, but it does increase the damage on a multiplicative basis, so it's okay to guess. You could always stick it in your cube. The Gabriel's Vambraces are also in the loot pool level 1, which really helps out with your Wrath reduction costs. So that's kind of nice. So you can have those two things and your modifier for free. So that, again, it's not too bad. But generally speaking, you want to get your Johanna's Argument, which gives you increased attack speed and increased damage on the Blessed Hammer. And then normally, I think, what are we going for? It's a sword, isn't it? It is the one that gives you 80% damage. I can never remember the name. Faithful Memory. It'll give you increased damage on Blessed Hammer when you hit. Now, you do eventually move the Gabriel's Vambraces onto the character, and then you want your Hammer Jammers, which are your pants, which again, 400% increased damage. So this is fairly cheap to get, I guess, because the Faithful Memory is not essential. Like, it's going to make a big difference, but you can get yourself going, I think, with just the cheap hammer items. One-handed flail, that's going to be a bit of a pain. Again, there's an okay-ish amount of them. So I don't hate it. And maybe I've started by saying I hate it, but it's just not a particularly viable speed build in the game, really. I tend not to use it. You probably want to play Pony Sader. Again, question marks as to how that functions with the Ethereals. Probably won't be able to make it work, but we'll have a look. So again, it's just kind of mid. You know, it's you can make some progress with this, but but it's also going to be quite frustrating because you've got to find a two-handed sword and a one-handed flail, and even when you do, I'm not sure it's amazing anyway. Moving us along to the monk, again another one that's kind of just like really mid. So the two-piece, every third hit of our spirit generators applies exploding palm with the Uliana set. That's okay, I guess. Again, in the level 1 loot pool, we've got the Gundo gear. So these will exploding palm on death explosion reapplies exploding palm and gives 100% damage increase. So that's nice. You can pair those two things together with the two-piece, quite nice. Seven-sided strike deals 777% more damage with 77% damage reduction for 7 seconds. So obviously all about the number 7 on the 4-piece. So again, a bit of damage, huge amount of damage reduction. And then on the 6-piece we get exploding palm, and 7-sided strike will detonate exploding palm. So you press 7-sided strike, it detonates the exploding palm, then blows up, reapplies, blah blah blah. I don't really love Uliana, like it's a very satisfying playstyle, but it's not easy. Again, we've got 2 fist weapons. Got the Fist of Az, which will give us increased 500% on exploding palms detonation, and we've got Lion Claw. 7-sided strike will hit another 7 times, I think is generally what we want to use. And there is a Dabo, I think, which is this one, the Flow of Eternity. Increased damage, 7-sided strike by 100% and cooldown by 60%. Fist weapons are awful to find. It is the worst category of items, worse than wands. I think there are the most fist weapons, so it's not easy to set up by any means, aside from the Gundo gear. So again, you could start yourself off with the Gundo gear and with the Uliana 6-piece, and then you just kind of like build as you go. Ethereal wise, it's fine. You're just looking for one of the powers that will help you. So again, not amazing, but I guess probably okay. And now we come to the Demon Hunter, which might well be the best option in some senses. I know I really like the Trags Necro. Demon Hunter is probably going to be the solo XP meta next season with Gears of Dreadlands and the Breezer Doe. I just think that's going to absolutely fly. 2-piece Spike Trap, 100% increased damage to enemies affected by caltrops. You've got to pop those down to get that. That's going to be annoying because you're going to run out of discipline probably. Spike Trap now instantly refreshes charges on use, no longer costs resource, which is nice, and detonations restore 2 discipline. So I guess you're keeping your discipline high with that. I've only really pushed for this like a couple of seasons ago, so I've never speeded with it, so it's not a build I'm particularly familiar with, but it generally revolves around a big setup and a lot of AoE, I think is my understanding. 4-piece Spike Trap explosions will blast affected enemies towards the nearest caltrop, so it kind of like vortexes in. We've got laying spike traps gives 75% damage reduction, which is nice. Guess that's fine. Duration of this bonus is always equal to the number of laid traps in seconds. And then the 6-piece, 10,000% increased damage on spike traps, and each consecutive explosion detonated at the chain will increase 25% more from the last blast. Now, whether you'll be able to just wear this 6-piece and just go around spamming spike trap and actually getting that to kind of work, it might work. It probably will be a little bit clunky. Supporting items, we've got the Trags coils, which is basically giving us 200%, and the scatter rune. We also get them deploying twice as fast, which is nice. We are looking for the Demon Demise, which is the one-handed crossbow. Each blast from Spike Trap will damage all enemies again after a second, and another 200% modifier. And then there is a 2-handed crossbow, the Channon Bolter. So again, another 200% modifier here, and Spike Trap lures enemies towards them. So there is quite a few bits to find, but you do get a ring, you get a weapon. I guess the question will be, how effective is it to just run around and pop traps down? And it might well be that you can do a high enough difficulty to just get enough items to be able to swap over onto something like UE, Shadow, or Gears of Dreadlands. Whichever of those you probably get set up, I suspect would be a faster clear. Again, I haven't really played this for speeds, so if anybody has, stick it in the comments, because I think it's either going to be this or it's probably going to be the Trags. I think they're the two that stand out for me. The rest are all a little bit meh. I don't really like the exploding palm for a start. I don't like the hammers for a start much. Arachyr, I've got my issue with the fact that you're not going to use the season theme. That bothers me. IK, I think, is okay. IK, okay. Yeah, it's not amazing. And then Tragul, which we like. And then Vyrs, which I really, really dislike. So what am I going to do? Well, I'm definitely going to make a Necro to level and complete the 6-piece journey. And I think I'll see how I feel at that point. I might just simply collect the Tragul set and go from there. Or I might make a Demon Hunter, collect my 6-piece Natalia, power, essentially self-power level with the Alter of Rites up to 70, and then just basically try and put a Gears of Dreadlands Demon Hunter together as soon as possible. So I probably wouldn't be worrying about trying to find these supporting items. I would literally be going for Gears of Dreadlands pieces, Hunter's Wrath belts, and that would probably be it. Maybe Depth Digger pants as well. So I'll probably make a decision on that, but the rest of them I probably would swerve. But look, honestly guys, you can start with anything. Unfortunately, there's nothing amazing on offer like Gears of Dreadlands, Patterns of Justice. Yeah, nothing super amazing. That's my view on the Hadrix, guys. I hope you found this useful. I'll see you on season 32. Take it easy, guys. Peace.